Welcome, everybody, to this event, Unlocking the Potential for Inclusive, Climate-Smart Innovations and Finance for Healthier Crops, Environment, and People. I'm very, very happy to be here and to have the opportunity of facilitating the very exciting discussion that will happen in the following hours. This is my 5th day in Ghana. I arrived on late Sunday, and it has been a really inspiring experience in terms of understanding the challenges that Ghana is facing in relation to climate, but also making sure that I see the opportunities that emerge in terms of contributing to addressing these challenges so that we can improve livelihoods of farmers in Ghana. This public forum is hosted by the Ghana cluster of the AICCRA project, which has been working together with the Food System Resilience Program, the Biorisk Management Facility, the West and Central Africa Council for Agricultural Research and Development, the Central and West African Virus Epidemiology Program, and many, many strategic stakeholders in Ghana. We are living in a different world. The global COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated us the importance of addressing health and food systems challenges jointly. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to succeed. The World Bank funded AICCRA project, Accelerated Impacts of CGIAR Climate Research for Africa, offers a unique opportunity for accelerated climate-smart innovation and climate-informed services, but, and something very important, while ensuring optimal health outcomes for people, for crops, and for animals. Something very important for Ghana. In this forum, we will showcase how the Ghana AICCRA focus areas come together to generate climate-smart agriculture innovations that will strengthen the capacity of targeted CGIAR partners and stakeholders, and that will also be able to enhance access to climate information services and validated climate-smart agricultural technologies in Ghana. We hope that the discussions that we are going to get involved in the following hours and its deliberations can become key inputs to inform the next UN Climate Change Conference, COP27 in Egypt, which will be an African COP and a food COP. The two major topics that will be discussed during the sessions this afternoon will demonstrate two very important issues. Through the first panel, we are going to engage in a dialogue to understand how sustainable financing can support climate-smart agriculture and climate information services generation and scaling, but at the same time that they are able to widen access for women and youth, something very relevant for Ghana. The second panel will bring us the opportunity to brainstorm, to engage in a dialogue in relation to how tackling climate-driven biorisks can improve climate-smart innovations for healthier crops, environments, and people. So with this, let me pass the word to Michael Morris. Michael has been a very important person in this process of putting together the elements for implementing and scaling climate-smart agriculture and climate information services through the AICCRA project. Michael was there from the very beginning, from the ideation of this project, and somehow I could say that Michael was the father of AICCRA, and we are very grateful for having the opportunity to work with him in this project. He was supposed to be here with us all these 5 days, but given some late circumstances, he was not able, but he's joining virtually. We are very glad for that. Michael is lead agricultural economist at the World Bank. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ana Maria. Can you hear me?
We can hear you very well.
Okay, wonderful. Distinguished guests, development partners, AICCRA colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's really my great pleasure as a member of the World Bank team supporting the AICCRA project to welcome you to this public forum and say a few words. I wish I could be there with you in person, but as Ana Maria has just explained, unfortunately, I had an unexpected encounter with COVID while traveling to Ghana, so I'm having to connect remotely today. We have a very exciting program ahead of us, and I don't want to take up a lot of time, so I'll be brief. Let me make 4 points. The first point I want to make is that sub-Saharan Africa faces a daunting food security challenge. Agriculture is central to the livelihoods of millions of Africans, yet far too many agriculture-dependent households in Africa remain food insecure and malnourished. The number of undernourished people in Africa rose from about 210 million in 2010 to an estimated 282 million in 2020. And these numbers have been made worse by the COVID pandemic, and they're likely to be further exacerbated by the tightening in global food supplies that we're already seeing as a result of the conflict in Ukraine. By the end of 2022, it's possible that 100 million people across the region will be facing crisis levels of acute food insecurity. And so to prevent what is already a dire situation from becoming really disastrous, the challenges facing agriculture require urgent attention. The second point that I want to make is that for Africa's food systems, climate change is surely the single largest existential threat. The impacts of climate change are already being felt throughout the region in the form of more frequent and more severe extreme weather events that are having significant effect on productivity. And for that reason, while we in the World Bank Agriculture and Food Global Practice remain strongly committed to our twin goals of eliminating poverty and promoting shared prosperity, everything that we do now is done through the lens of climate change. In 2021, we launched a new climate change action plan that requires us to screen every project for climate resilience, ensure that at least 35% of our lending commitments over the next 5 years will be devoted to building climate resilience, align our financing flows with the goals of the Paris Agreement, and achieve results that integrate climate and development. Our recent lending has generated almost 60% of climate co-benefits, making the World Bank the largest provider of development finance for climate-smart agriculture in the world, and we're very proud of that. The third point I want to make is that successfully addressing the threat posed by climate change will require innovation. And in that context, the World Bank sees no better way to support innovation than by investing in the CGIAR and its partners. For those who may not know, CGIAR is a global network of international agricultural research centers that partner with regional and national organizations to develop and validate innovations for actors throughout the food system. Many of you will be familiar with the CG centers that are headquartered in Africa, including the International Institute for Tropical Agriculture in Ibadan, Africa Rice in Bouake, and the International Livestock Research Institute in Nairobi. But of course, many of the other centers have offices and research facilities throughout the region. The World Bank has long supported CGIAR. For more than 50 years, we've been a regular funder, and we've participated actively in the governance of the system because we feel resources investing in CGIAR are leveraged through partnerships with regional and local partners in ways that can bring enormous benefits to farmers and livestock keepers whom we all want to serve. The fourth and final point that I'd like to make today is that the World Bank is delighted to be supporting the AICCRA project that brings us together for this event. For those of you who may not have managed to decode the acronym, AICCRA stands for Accelerating the Impacts of CGIAR Climate Research for Africa. And very briefly, the AICCRA project is being supported with a grant from the World Bank Group's regional IDA window in the amount of $60 million dispersed over 3 years. And the objective of the project is to strengthen the capacity of targeted CGIAR partners and stakeholders and to enhance access to climate information services and validated climate-smart agriculture technologies throughout Africa. Very briefly, the project has 3 major components. The first component is really about research, about knowledge generation and sharing, developing climate-informed agricultural advisory services and decision-making tools that will make farmers and those who support them better equipped to take the decisions that they need to make to deal with the increasing threats posed by climate change. The second component is all about partnerships, strengthening partnerships for delivery of climate-smart innovations in agriculture. We know that partnerships are the way to leverage all of the important knowledge that's coming out of the research programs and reach a wide audience, but partnerships require financing, they require effort, they require funding. So AICCRA is putting a big emphasis on strengthening the national and regional platforms that are so active and so effective in getting results out to end users. And finally, the third component is validating climate-smart agriculture innovations through piloting. So this is really a component that's supporting bringing research to the ground level, taking innovations that may have been developed in one place, moving them across national boundaries, moving them to new areas, and validating on the ground, on research stations, in farmers' fields, to make sure that they're adapted and suited, fit for purpose for local conditions. The activities of AICCRA are concentrated in 3 Western African countries and in 3 Eastern and Southern Africa countries. So in Western Africa, the anchor countries, Senegal, Mali, and Ghana. And in Eastern and Southern Africa, the anchor countries are Ethiopia, Kenya, and Zambia. But thanks to the many regional partnerships that AICCRA is supporting, the benefits generated in the anchor countries are expected to spill over into many other countries throughout the region. So that's really the advantage of working at the regional level with regional projects, and we're putting a lot of effort into making sure that these spillovers actually happen. During today's event, we'll hear from a series of experts who are working on the front lines in Ghana to advance the ambitious agenda that AICCRA has set for itself. By the end of the program today, I'm confident we'll all appreciate much better how researchers, extensionists, and development professionals are partnering with CG scientists to generate, validate, and scale up innovative technologies and practices that have potential to transform the lives of the millions of women and men who continue to rely on agriculture as a primary livelihood source and who need new and better ways of managing the unprecedented challenges that climate change is bringing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael. That was really good way to start this discussion, to start this conversation, to provide the right context. And just some words that I would like to emphasize: the importance of innovation for addressing the issues related to climate challenges, the importance of partnerships and really co-generation of knowledge, the importance of scaling. So we need to think beyond the pilot and then being able to bring millions of Africans these technologies that can improve their livelihoods. And therefore, the importance of spillovers. So AICCRA is targeting 6 African countries, but we have designed the project in such a way that we are going to be able to learn from what is happening in these 6 countries and then bring those lessons learned to the rest of the continent. So with that, let me invite to the podium Dr. Pierre-Frank Laporte. He's World Bank Director for Ghana, and he will provide some remarks. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon,
But I
everyone.
don't know
I'm
what
not sure
what
if
this.
Honorable Minister Owusu Afriye-Okoto is with us, but anyway, good afternoon to all of you, colleagues from Government of Ghana, from CGIAR, the media, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to be here today to help open this event with the theme Unlocking the Potential of Inclusive Climate Smart Innovations and Finance for Healthier Crops, Environment, and People. This event comes at the end of a week during which the World Bank team undertook a series of meetings in support of our target engagement with the CGIAR in Africa through the Accelerating the Impact of CGIAR Research for Africa, or AICCRA project. The World Bank has long collaborated with the CGIAR and other research organizations to develop the evidence needed to better understand the linkages between climate change and food insecurity in Africa, while offering evidence based solutions toward food systems transformation, including through climate smart agriculture. In addition to the ICRA regional project, which is targeting the entire subcontinent, the World Bank supports several ongoing and upcoming interventions with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture in the agriculture sector here in Ghana. All of these interventions are seeking to develop rigorous, scientifically proven technologies and practices to make them available to farmers and livestock keepers. Climate smart agriculture in Africa. Agriculture remains central to the livelihoods of millions of Africans, and Ghana is no exception. Approximately 46% of Ghanaian households are engaged in agriculture, including 76% of rural households. Yet, far from many agriculture dependent Africans remain food insecure and malnourished. Global hunger has been increasing since 2014 and more rapidly in Africa than in any other region. Climate change has particularly impacted the livelihoods of African farmers and the many other actors who make up the food systems. The frequency of extreme weather events, especially droughts and floods, has increased, and the economic and human losses they cause cannot get bigger. I'm sorry, keep getting bigger. The north of Ghana, in particular, is especially prone to droughts, flooding, and food insecurity. So, what are we doing in investment in research and R&D? We know how important research is in agriculture. However, in Africa, research and development spending is actually declining. In recent years, spending on agricultural research in Africa has reached only 70% of the target set by the African Union. Agriculture innovation and the use of improved technology by farmers needs to increase dramatically in order to eliminate poverty, meet the rising food demand, and cope with the adverse effects of climate change. The key driver for increasing agricultural productivity and rising incomes is the adoption of innovative technologies and practices by farmers. This will enable farmers to raise yields, manage inputs more efficiently, improve the quality of their products, conserve natural resources, and adapt to climate challenges. This, however, can only be achieved with the right incentives and capabilities to develop and scale up these technologies. The urgency of these issues, the World Bank has long recognized the importance of investing in food systems and the important role that the public sector must play in supporting the development of global public goods. Recent events have shown how vulnerable food systems really are. The crisis in Ukraine is sending shockwaves through the international markets for food and also for key agricultural inputs such as fertilizer and fuel. And this has only served to highlight the importance of investing in improving the productivity and resilience of national food systems to enable them to absorb the impacts of events occurring in distant lands. The ICRA project is ideally placed to fill the missing middle between upstream research partners and downstream development and delivery partners, with the ability here in Ghana to strengthen the resilience of the agricultural sectors to the threat posed by climate change and global food system shocks. We welcome you to collaborate with our World Bank programs here in Ghana, and we look forward to exploring more synergies in the coming months and years. I wish you success in today's event and in the future of the AICCRA partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those remarks. So I would like to give a warm welcome to Minister Owusu Afriyi Akoto. It is a complete honor having you here to provide some remarks that can inspire the discussions that we will have this afternoon. Thank you very much for participating in this event, Minister. The floor is yours.
The chairman for the occasion, the country director of the World Bank, Mr. Pierre Laporte, partners of the Consultative Group for International Agricultural Research, CGIAR, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to share a few remarks with the CGIAR partners and stakeholders from the 6 countries participating in the accelerating impacts of CGIAR Climate Research for Africa, AICCRA, project funded by the World Bank. The event, Unlocking the Potential for Inclusive Climate-Smart Innovations and Finance for Healthier Crops, Environment, and People, is opportune, coming after the COP26, where once again, the world was reminded about the need to step up actions to save our planet. We have also the growing demand for food and other agricultural commodities, which cause us to substantially rely on the exploitation of resources contained in land, forest, soils, water, biodiversity, and the environment. The continuous use of these natural resources leads to climate change, environmental degradation, and biodiversity loss. For this reason, I totally support the adoption of the climate-smart innovations as a means of mitigating agriculture-related climate change effects. Hence, the call for international donors, as well as low and middle-income countries, to increase spending on resilient agri-food systems over the next 10 years to achieve zero hunger and other SDG goals. This objective is in order and very laudable. It is my hope that African countries which missed out on the first round of grants for adaptation projects from the UN's Green Climate Fund will make efforts to access the grant at the next call. Indeed, the agri-food system is increasingly becoming susceptible to multiple shocks. And for that matter, the processes of supplying adequate and nutritious food are seriously threatened. I would like to highlight some of these shocks. For Africa, the frequency of extreme weather events, such as severe droughts and floods, has drastically increased over the years. Climate projections show increasing temperature and decreasing rainfall. Climate change is one of the drivers of the spread and distribution shifts of pests and diseases, causing 40% of food crops loss annually. These shocks hold true for Ghana. Specifically, future projections for Ghana show increasing temperature, particularly in the north, in the range of 1.4 to 4.2 centigrades. Ghanaian farmers are already experiencing the effects of climate change, which often renders land unproductive and reduces yield of some major crops. Cocoa, which is vital to Ghana's economy, is expected to experience losses of around 3% in the short term by 2030. The losses are expected to increase to 5 to 7% by 2050. These shocks lead to rising vulnerability to climate change and thereby increasing food insecurity, already exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Indeed, agriculture remains central to the livelihood of millions of Africans, yet many African countries remain food insecure, and significant sections of their population are malnourished. Here in Ghana, approximately 46% of households are engaged in agriculture, including 76% of rural households. In Upper East and Upper West regions of Ghana, the figures go as high as 84%. This is a critical factor in building resilience, improving productivity, and protecting the livelihoods of farmers that depend on agriculture. Transforming agricultural research and innovation can play a catalytic role in building climate resilience and address food security. There's high rate of return to agricultural research and development, 30 to 40% according to the World Bank report. Ghana is recognized as needing greater investments in research. In 2017, research spending accounted for about 0.7% of agricultural output. When cocoa is excluded, above the sub-Saharan average of 0.5%, but below the rates of regional leaders such as Kenya, 1.4%, and South Africa, 2%, as well as the African Union target of 1%. Strengthening the productivity and resilience of African agriculture is critical, but will depend on the ability of governments and their partners to bring science and innovation to the forefront of development agenda. Hence, the importance of initiatives such as AICCRA. Through AICCRA, the World Bank supports research and capacity building activities carried out by CGIAR centers, universities, and research systems. The goal is to enhance access to climate information services, validating climate-smart agriculture technologies in Africa, and strengthening partnerships for the delivery of climate-smart innovations in agriculture across the continent. The project focuses on bridging the gap between the generation of knowledge and climate-smart agriculture technologies and those that help farmers take them up. Make use of this knowledge and technology to enhance the resilience of Africa's agriculture and food systems in the face of climate change. Therefore, AICCRA can play a vital catalytic role in strengthening and filling the missing middle in Africa's agricultural research architecture. It is my hope that AICCRA can support the transformative agenda of Ghana's Ministry of Food and Agriculture, best articulated in the Investing for Food and Jobs initiative, which is being implemented on the ground through flagship programs such as Planting for Food and Jobs with its 5 modules, One Village, One Dam, and One District, One Factory. I would like to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, by thanking the World Bank for their support to the AICCRA project and CGIAR more broadly as the world's largest research partnership for agriculture and food security. With these remarks, I hereby declare the forum open and wish you all a fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Minister, for those inspiring remarks. And thank you for letting us work with you in order to improve the livelihoods of farmers in Africa. So with that, let's go to our first panel. The topic of this conversation will evolve around sustainable financing, climate action, and food systems transformation. But the key component that we want to include in this discussion is how this sustainable financing can widen access for women and youth. So this gender inclusion, very, very important dimension to include. For that, we have a very interesting panel. First of all, let me introduce Ena Derenoncourt. She's a gender-smart investment specialist working for one CGIAR. Ena is going to join us virtually. Our second panelist is Osman Taidu. He's lecturer at the University of Development Studies, and it's also part of the Ghana AICCRA cluster. And finally, our third panelist is Martin Narty. He represents the private sector in this panel, so we'll bring this perspective to the discussion. And he's an agro dealer working for New Age Agric. So with that, let's start by listening to Ena's presentation.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you, Ana Maria. Good morning, afternoon to distinguished guests, His Excellency, Mr. Akoto, Minister of Food and Agriculture of Ghana, World Bank colleagues, AICCRA colleagues, esteemed panelists, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ena Derenoncourt, and I am the Gender Smart Investment Specialist in the Sustainable Financing team of the 1CG. It's a real privilege for me to present to you today how mainstreaming gender smart investing can help scale climate smart agriculture. This is a subject dear to my heart as I have been a women entrepreneur myself and understand the challenges they face when accessing finance. Climate change is more than a threat, it's an economic reality, and inclusive financial approaches can help increase resilience to climate change, especially for women. Next slide, please. So we will look at the gender gap in Ghana's agriculture, the role of women SMEs in adaptation to climate change, what is gender smart financing, the roadmap to mainstreaming gender smart financing to scale CSA, and gender smart investing in the Ghanaian context. Next slide, please. So in Ghana, women constitute more than 46% of the agricultural labor force. Due to cultural norms, they traditionally participate in value chains such as groundnuts, legumes, roots, with limited participation in cash crops such as cocoa. They also are constrained in the amount of time they can spend in productive activities because of their domestic and reproductive responsibilities. Women in Ghana also have equal access to information, resources such as inputs, credits, land, less than their male counterparts. These constraints lead to a 20 to 30% productivity gap in the yield between men and women farmers. One thing to note that is this gap is expected to be exacerbated by climate change because of women's lower adaptive capacity. However, on a good note, if measures are taken to reduce this gap in Ghana, it could lead to an increase of 4% in agricultural output and a reduction of hunger by more than 17%. Next slide, please. Women in Ghana are extremely enterprising. 42% of micro, medium, small and medium SMEs are women owned in Ghana. They specialize in trading, early aggregation, and small scale marketing operations. However, certain value chains are dominated by market queens in certain areas. However, the operations rarely ever scale because of the financing options available. This is a market failure because we know that when women engage in climate smart agriculture, it ensures adoption and long term sustainability. Women have the indigenous knowledge so crucial for adaptation to climate change. Women entrepreneurs, on the other hand, are well integrated within their community and create opportunities for other women. Higher income for women benefits the family, the community, and society, as women invest a larger share of their income in education, healthcare, all important in reducing vulnerability to climate change. Next slide, please. One of the tools that can be used in the fight for gender equality is gender smart investing. Since finance is a huge lever, it can influence the power dynamics to tip the existing imbalances in favor of women. Gender smart investing or gender lens investing integrates gender analysis into financial analysis in order to achieve better outcomes for women and girls, better outcomes for investors, companies, and communities. Gender diversity has been proven to boost business performance and returns to shareholders, particularly in gender balanced boards and senior leadership teams. African companies with at least 25% board position filled by women achieve on average 20% higher operating margins than industry average. The investors and banks look at companies through a gender lens throughout the investment process across these four gender dimensions: ownership, access to capital to women, addressing the gender capital gap that is 42 billion right now in Africa; management, women in leadership and decision-making position; workplace and policies that promote hiring women and also create a safe space, a safe working environment that women can be valued and thrive in; and business models that offers goods and services that address the need of women. Next slide, please. So what will it take to mainstream gender smart financing to scale climate smart agriculture? First, capacity building to address the knowledge gaps in gender issues and CSA. Yes, thank you. So I would add also hiring women too, as women bankers are 2 times more likely to trust and extend financing to fellow women. Capacity building also for the farmers and the agri-entrepreneurs to increase their investment and financing readiness. Secondly, pipeline building and intermediation to address the low deal flow in the sector. Stimulate scalable, sustainable businesses led by women through partnerships with women cooperatives, business networks, and incubators. It takes also innovative financial products to address the lack of gender responsive products in the ecosystem right now, such as multilateral funding, blended finance guarantees, group lending with key gender criteria. And finally, collecting and analyzing sex disaggregated data that can help identify constraints and opportunities that are left on the table because they are not looked at due to gender bias. Next slide, please. Through the One Health approach, the AICCRA Ghana cluster is promoting agricultural technologies which are not only climate smart, but in addition can contribute to preserving soil, water, plants, animal, and human health, as there are strong interconnections between them. They will look at improved and drought-resistant seeds, biopesticides, improved soil fertility, and climate-smart information services. The key here is to make sure that the adoption of these CSA practices and the CIS technologies as well as the business model developed around these bundles, are gender responsive and yield positive outcomes for men and women. Gender smart investing can be used to move the needle and create opportunities. These opportunities. For example, let's take one of the communities selected by AICCRA in Ghana, the Tuba Irrigation Center, large producer of vegetables. 13% of their 350 members are women, only 13%, and none of them occupy leadership position or board membership. A bank or investor looking to finance a tomato processing unit in the Tuba community, for example, could set impact targets such as the number of women farmers membership, the percentage of their participation in the board, and support the cooperative to make progress towards these goals. This creates gender equality and increases the resilience of the farmers and community. Next slide, please. Investing in Ghana, supporting smallholder farmers, startups, SMEs, and corporates. What they have in common is that they have a clear commitment to gender equality. They develop partnerships to leverage capital and knowledge essential for faster collective action, and they provide non-financial services such as capacity building. Yet there is not enough funding to scale and not enough options, especially for the agricultural sector. So the financial sector has an important role to play in innovating and adapting existing frameworks to create opportunities for women and women-led SMEs so that they can be the change agents in the transformation of food systems urgently needed in the context of climate change. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Anna, for that intervention. I'm very happy to see that we are moving from just collecting information. You said one of the things that we need to continue doing is collecting and analyzing gender disaggregated data. And we have been doing that for a while in the CGIAR. We need to do more on that because we need to understand better the issues related to gender and social inclusion. But I'm so happy to see that finally we are moving beyond just understanding and disaggregating this information, and we are being more active in terms of how we can really generate impact considering this gender and social inclusion dimension. So really understanding this pipeline, you mentioned the importance of building this pipeline, understanding how women can lead these incubators, these business models. I think that this is really what we need to focus. We need to see action. We need to continue developing knowledge, understanding data, but we need to be able to link that data to a specific action. We need to address these gender gaps. So I'm so happy to see how, and this is coming from somebody that has been working for the CGIAR for the past 8 years, we are really moving into action in terms of gender and social inclusion. So with that, let me give the word to Osman. Osman, it's going to talk about how in Ghana we have been able to prioritize these climate smart agriculture plus climate information services, bundling, putting them together with a focus on vegetables, which is really refreshing for the CGIAR. Being able to work with vegetables is something that I think that it was a depth that the CGIAR had with the world. So I'm very happy to see this work. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I duly acknowledge the presence of the distinguished personalities, all AICCRA Ghana partners, and other key stakeholders within this forum. So my name once again is Osman Damba, the lead in terms of AICCRA Ghana CSA technology identification and upscaling, as well as capacity development. In fact, over the past years, AICCRA Ghana has realized the fact that sustainable financing hinges on effective prioritization and bundling processes to an extent that bundling processes will actually bring out the real products for financing at the investor level and for a demand-driven and productive services at the smallholder farmer level. Hence, today's presentation on Ghana's CIS bundling prioritization processes, approach, potential products for business models co-creation, including premium quality vegetables. And for AICCRA Ghana, our premium quality vegetables lies heavily on tomato and the pepper value chains.
Is it working?
It's not.
It's not.
Yes. Okay. Now, the grand challenge even presented by the Honorable Minister and our first presenter hinges on increased productivity of agriculture in a sustainable manner. Sustainability in terms of the fact that women and the youth are given the needed opportunity and access to inputs for productive farming and sustainable farming activities. But over the years, the focus has always been on productivity alone. But due to the increasing climate change events and its effect on farm households and farm production or food production systems, we've now looked at a holistic integration in terms of managing natural resources whilst addressing food and nutritional security. So you realize that we're increasingly getting lower productivity, degrading lands, and added to the varied climate change effects. Based on this, the AICCRA Ghana identified 6 intervention regions. And basically, we looked at the peculiarity of the effect of climate change on these regions. And added to the fact that we are concentrating on the AICCRA value chain commodities. So for Ghana, we hinged or relied on past climate intervention regions. So we had the case of the Upper West, which went through the CGIAR intervention. We had the case of Northern region. We had the case of the Upper East region due to the issues of transborder trade in respect of the tomato value chain. We had the case of the Central region for the pepper value chain, that is specifically the Tuba community. We had the case of the Greater Accra region, and we had the case of the Bono region in terms of maize, or serving as a breadbasket enclave of Ghana. And based on this, we kept our emphasis on these commodities. As we can see beautifully, the maize, the cowpea, which is a gender-sensitive commodity, the yam, the sweet potato, tomato itself, as well as pepper. Then, as AICCRA, on the mandate of AICCRA, which is not trying to reinvent the wheel, we looked at the common and cross-cutting climate-smart climate information service practices and technologies which corresponds to each of these commodities. And based on this, we went on a CSA, CIS practice or technology identification process. We gave the opportunity to cross manner of actors within the various commodity value chains, even within the regions. And in all, we came out with about 22 climate-smart climate information service practices and technologies. And within 22, we gave the opportunity of sorting it out in terms of geographical regions or implementation regions, as well as the commodity value chains. But as we are all aware, we cannot apply all these 22 climate-smart agricultural practices and climate information processes or services within the various value chains. So we went through the prioritization process in terms of how it achieves climate smartness, how it is gender and socially inclusive, how it addresses issues of One Health, which is the ultimate, how it is end user friendliness within an enabling environment. Based on this, we arrive at the top 5 CIS practices for each commodities, and that led us to the product identification. And what is so unique in terms of product identification is the fact that seed is an issue. Organic amendment to soil is an issue. Biopesticides, as well as seasonal weather climate information was a cross-cutting issue with respect to all these top 5 for each commodity. Based on this, we now ask ourselves, what are the opportunities for sustainable financing and matching opportunities? Then we looked at within the environment and in the implementation areas, we have a very strong village savings and loans association presence within this area, where women and smallholder farmers actually have local share ownership in terms of access to finance, giving out credits without relying on the cumbersome and the collateral-driven credit services within the formal financial sector. Then we have the presence of the rural financial services within all the AICCRA intervention areas, which serves as a low-hanging fruit in terms of credit provision. We looked at equipment financing, inventory financing, as well as credit financing. Then AICCRA, in terms of climate information services, provided the bumper services. That gives a one-stop shop in terms of access to extension, access to credit, and all other related issues. Then we had the agro dealers in the presence of even New Age, who is here to do a presentation. My time is up, but then prioritization takes a lot of time. So these are the top 5. These are the top 5. So these are the top 5 for each of the commodities. So these are the enablers for effective sustainable financing services within the 10 regions. A well-functioning farmer-based and cooperative system, as you observe in the Tuba communities, very strong in the Navrongo areas, very strong in Dazuri, the climate smart villages, a strong repository of past and present CIS interventions, examples the CCAVs and climate smart villages, which serves as a low-hanging fruit for scalability and easy entry into communities. The presence of agro-input dealers at all respective communities, household level and regions, as well as the availability of business advisory services, local in context, but practically in terms of delivery, knowing what is required by the various farmer-based organizations. And the fact that we have strong local governance presence to facilitate access to national-driven programs. And the minister just made mention of the Planting for Food and Jobs, the Youth in Agriculture, which all addresses the social inclusiveness of climate smart adaptation towards enhanced One Health CAC achievement within the Ghanaian AICCRA implementation. So by this, I say a big thank you and on standby for further discussions.
Thank you very much, Osman. That was a really nice presentation. Really nice to see how we are still using all that knowledge that was produced through the CGIAR research program on climate change, agriculture, and food security, CCAF. So really good that we are using all that.
Yes.
And really nice to see how we are really embedding the gender and social inclusion dimension into these prioritization processes. No, it's not just talking blah 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 that we are serious about gender. It's really a variable that it's part of this prioritization. If we are deciding what are those technologies that we want to work on scale, gender needs to be a relevant variable in terms of making that decision. And really nice to see partnerships. So it's not anymore just scientists doing their analysis. They are doing this analysis in a co-generation way of doing things, where we are inviting ESOCO, the Rural Financial Services. This is the way to go. We cannot expect that our technologies are adopted massively if we don't include the realities of the users that are going to be adopting those. So thank you very much for that. Let's move to Martin. And this is very important because the private sector is fundamental for scaling these technologies. And the fact that we have good climate information also needs that for this to be useful, we need delivery of quality inputs that can respond to this climate information. So Martin, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically, as Riley said, my name is Martin Nate, an agribusiness practitioner and the general manager for New Age Agri Solutions Limited. Today, I'm here representing the private sector partners to AICCRA, and I'm presenting on the topic accelerating the delivery of quality inputs. Truthfully, a comprehensive discussion of this topic will actually take quite a while, but I'll try so hard to make it as concise as possible and touch on the various major points. We from the private sector would want to tackle this very topic from 6 angles. And from these 6 angles, I'm sure by the end of my presentation, you would have a better understanding of how the points I'm going to mention will help us in achieving the sole purpose for this topic. That's for us to accelerate the delivery of quality inputs. For the 6 angles I mentioned, I'll be talking about 1, leveraging our existing business models. 2, private sector engagement in AICCRA. 3, matchmaking for impact. 4, facilitating farmer access to inputs. 5, financing needs for input supply. And 6, innovation for resilience. So I'll start with leveraging existing business model. It's clear that our current business model, or the default model for all agricultural or for all agricultural input suppliers, come in 3 levels. So we have the producers and the manufacturers on one hand. Then we have the conduits through whom the product gets to the farmer. Then we have the end users, who are the farmers. Under the producers and manufacturers, there are many levels. There could be levels, but I've lumped them up into 1. For the middlemen or the conduit through whom inputs gets to the farmers, could also come in different levels, because we could have distributors and retailers, and then before it gets to the farmer. But I've lumped them up because they also was conduits to get the products to the farmer. You have the end users, who are the farmers here. Our current business model also is faced with some challenges, and some of these challenges include the global supply chain issues. I think almost 2.5 years ago, the major issue that rocked us big time was COVID, which disrupted the global supply chain easy flow of products coming into the country. Now, what is developing now is the current conflicts between Russia and Ukraine, which is more of aggravating the existing global supply chain issues. Under the same challenges too, there is also the issue of quality of inputs. This is where some people who are among the private sector take advantage of the smallholder farmers, bring in some substandard products for the farmer to use. Then there's a ripple effect where farmers lose trust in the product that they bring on board, or they end up increasing the products that they use on their farm, thereby increasing their costs and also increasing the exposures that these products do have on consumers, including yourself and myself. And one of the challenges we also face is the reducing purchasing power. If you do business in Ghana, it is clear that year in, year out, because we import practically a bigger chunk of the input we use locally, that means that when there is forex changes, forex exchange differential, where Ghana is always negative on our part, that means your purchasing power to be able to go back to your suppliers and buy then reduces. So these are some of the challenges that faces our existing business model. However, we explore various funding opportunities for us to be able to run our business. And this includes the use of the bank loans, the credits for manufacturers, and for the smallholder farmer, they also benefit from contract farming initiatives where they enjoy from some outdoor scheme support, and these are all indirect funding for their business. The second point is on private sector engagements in AICCRA. It is the hope of we, the private sector, that we would provide solutions to inform AICCRA product bundling. Bundling, what is the meaning of it? Someone may ask. So bundling is where we have a set of products that a farmer would need to enable the farmer undertake a successful production. Some, where I work in New Age, we call it protocols. Others call it recipes, just like the various ingredients we put into making the food whole. So for the sake of this conversation, we'll limit it to bundling. And we believe that when there is a marriage between research, industry, and farmer practice, we can then be able to have a good and acceptable crop bundle that can help alleviate or that can help support climate smart agriculture, and that can also be easily accepted by the farmers since their practices are also inculcated into it. But however, these bundles that we are proposing needs to respect social and cultural norms, needs to assure and ensure availability, accessibility, and affordability of the inputs. And at the end of the day, you need to safeguard the water, the soil, the environment to the point of consumption, that's the produce, since animals and humans are the direct beneficiaries of all farming inputs. For farmers to have continuous access to inputs, and by inputs, I'm referring to improved seeds, fertilizer and crop protection, machinery and irrigation systems, as well as the knowledge for them to be able to undertake this production. We are of the belief that AICCRA could be incorporated in our existing bundle, our existing business model, and support the model. By this, we are proposing AICCRA to function or have an escrow function, where AICCRA then gives some technical support to the farmer. However, and in addition to that, serve as a worthy arbiter to ensure support that comes from private sector to farmers is kind of protected, so that the farmer gets the right product for which he's paying for, and the private sector also gets the right products or the right price for the products for which they are giving to the farmer. My next point is on matchmaking for impact. We of the private sector are of the belief that we can effectively address demands through knowledge sharing, where there is knowledge sharing between the farmers and the input dealers. And by this, I mean we can then be able to appreciate what the farmers go through, so we can be able to provide solutions for them. And the farmers should also have information on what or other innovations and technologies which are available for them to also be able to tap into it for the best of, to improve their livelihood when it comes to the farming. By so doing, we can then be able to explore the various unique new markets that will come up from this arrangement. However, in all of these things, we need to safeguard the soil, the water, the air, we the humans, and animals. My fourth point, the first point will be touching on facilitating farmers' access to inputs. From this angle, the private sector currently facilitates farmers' access to inputs in three ways. First, logistically, two, financially, and three, through incentives. Logistically, I call one of the ways of getting farmers to have access to their inputs, the last mile distribution. This is where we, the suppliers, directly supply the input to the farmer. And then with this last mile distribution, that means the farmer gets the products in the right states, at the right time for their production. this kind of distribution usually works when it comes in bulk. So commercial farmers, those who buy in bulk in the form of group, farm-based organizations, they enjoy this kind of approach when it comes to being served their inputs. However, our default business model, where there is always a middleman who then pick the product in bulk and do a redistribution in pieces to the smallholder farmers, also come in play when it comes to logistically serving farmers or grant them to have the access to inputs. Financially, those who enjoy the last mile distribution usually do the direct sales. So they pay directly to the importers or producers and inputs are supplied. However, the model where there is a middleman who picks products and pay the money and comes to the payments to the inputters, the importer or the producer also comes in there when it comes to the as part of the credits or the financial support to enable farmers to have access to inputs. It is also worthy to note that these middlemen sometimes could be able to enjoy some credits from the producer and importer, and the farmers can also then, also enjoy those credits from them. The final point is when you go to rural Ghana, where there is a lot of microfinance, microcredit schemes, where a lot of their clients are smallholder farmers. When they go in for the bank loan, they don't necessarily give all the money to them. They allocate what is needed for the production. Then some of these finance corporations talk to the input dealers to pick the products and make payments for it. So it's also one of the ways by which where farmers do have access to inputs. With current incentives, the Minister of Agriculture was here some few minutes ago. He mentioned that there is a public incentive, there's a private incentive. Public incentive is where we currently have one of the agri-input subsidy program running, the Plan for Food and Jobs, and its 5 models. We also have the extension agents who also are within the various districts and they offer services to these farmers at low cost. For the private sector too, we also do provide input credits, but we provide this input credit in the form of contract farming, as well as through outgrower schemes. And we also do provide private extension agents to also help support these farmers to be able to do their products, they use the right products well. My 5th point, since I think my time is almost due, I would rush through it, is the financing need for input suppliers. I mentioned there are key actors to help finance inputs providers. There are current credit facilities that we do enjoy. However, it doesn't come cheap. For the LCs, it's a minimum 2% per transaction. Not forgetting there are also foreign exchange losses. So I'll touch on my 6th point, that is innovations for resilience. It's worth noting that we, the private sector, also do help these farmers, or we contribute to value chain resilience to climate change. And beyond it all, we also have special arrangements for women and youth, where we provide them a special credit arrangements, as well reduce the criteria for them to get support. And we currently do not just sell inputs, but we also give market information and climate information as part of the bundle. I will end here. However, I would want just to talk about, I have some few highlights which I would want us to ponder on. Just 3 questions which I would want us to ponder on. Firstly, I would want us to ponder on how research and development can be enhanced, how we can develop metrics, and how we can focus de-risking agriculture to make it appealing to the finance community. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Martin, and thank you for providing us some homework in relation to key questions that we need to address. So I really like the way that you put this bundling as the ingredients for this successful or delicious recipe that it's going to help farmers to be well prepared to address climate challenges. And it's putting together research. You mentioned research, industry, farming practices, but also something that I would like to highlight. You mentioned the importance of knowledge sharing, and really from the private sector perspective, understanding what the farmers go through. And this includes also this gender and social inclusion. We need to understand these challenges so that we can provide solutions that respond to realities. So with that, let me open the floor for some questions. And we don't have much time, but we have time for one question coming from the audience here, and we have one question coming online. And please, for the people that are following online, if you could go through your YouTube or LinkedIn channel and then just write down your questions, and Reese will take care of that. So we're going to address one question here and one question online, and then we'll go to a break.
Hello.
My question goes to Mr. Nati, but before that, my name is
Hello?
Adam. Hello? Yeah, my question goes to Mr. Nati. And Mr. Nati, thanks for your nice presentation. In your presentation, you kept emphasizing on the need to protect or to safeguard soil, water, and the environment. So in practice, how are you doing it as agro dealers? And what can the AICCRA project learn from you? Thank you.
Okay, so yes, it's key and critical for us to know that it's a soil that will continuously give livelihood to the smallholder farmer who then come back to buy from your end. So we do this through integrated pest management, integrated fertility management systems. Some of us in private sector do engage these farmers annually or pre-season and post-season to ensure that they are able to use the product well, and they're able to dispose of the how do I say it, the byproducts well, because it comes in two ways. It's not just the content of the product with which they buy that's the issue, but how they also dispose of the packaging also then has an environmental issue or affects the water bodies around. So it's continuous education, and continuous education.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Reese, do we have questions online?
We do indeed. One second, I've just lost it. So we have Robert online, who's asked to Osman.
Yes.
Traditional extension services are often limited in terms of reaching huge numbers of beneficiaries and agro-advisory knowledge. So how is AICCRA Ghana planning to solve this issue, especially in an era of digitization?
Okay. So thank you very much. And in my presentation, I highlighted the role of AICCRA and other emerging climate information service providers. And we all realize that apart from AICCRA providing information on the weather, they also provide information on source of quality inputs and all other combined services in terms of the bundling or the ingredients Mike referred to, such that you can have a one-stop access. I mean, they also provide issues of alert in terms of emerging pests and other related constraints to effective production within the season. I mean, added to the seasonal forecast, which earlier on you needed to wait for the extension officer to travel all the way from major city centers to the community. So these days, with a voice call, for which, with respect to the AICCRA project, we have already undertaken an extent of work where farmers will receive voice calls and they get the alerts from their various local languages, and so which addresses issues of face-to-face, the challenges of face-to-face extension delivery services, also reduce transaction costs, and provide real-time extension delivery services to smallholder farmers.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Osman. Thank you, Martin, for really interesting presentations, food for thought. So I would encourage each one of you here to continue the conversations during the coffee break. We are going to coffee break until 15:40. So please come back at 15:40. For the people that are following us online, we are going to start the second panel at 15:45 sharp. So people here start coming back 15:40. We're starting on at 15:45, and the coffee break is on the Chinese terrace to my left. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, it's not on. Okay. It's on? It's on? Yeah? Welcome back, everybody. We have some announcements. Reese, did you want to do an announcement about participating online with our hashtag? Is it working?
I did. Thank you, Anna Maria. Yes, just to remind everybody, you might have seen some signs around the venue with the hashtag Climate Smart Ghana. Feel free to use that hashtag to share your thoughts and pictures of the event and questions you have. Just a reminder that we are live streaming this event, of course, around the world, which can be viewed on YouTube and on LinkedIn Live. So if you go to the YouTube stream or the LinkedIn live stream on the AICCRA LinkedIn profile, you can just put a question in the chat box underneath and it'll automatically get fed through to the live stream online. So we'll see everybody's questions and you might have seen them popping up on the screen from time to time. So please do use that platform to share your thoughts and questions. We'd be really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reese. So we are going to start our second panel. This is going to be a very exciting panel because we're going to be able to link climate-driven biorisks to solutions, outcomes in terms of One Health approaches, considering crops, environment, and people. So really how the AICCRA Ghana cluster has been able to address these climate-driven biorisks and then combine these to consider a One Health approach. So for that, for this conversation, we have a fantastic panel. Let me introduce briefly our four panelists. We have Christopher Mauli Gatu. He's Deputy Director for the Plant Protection and Regulatory Services Directorate from the Ghana Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Welcome, Christopher. We also have Ghislaine Tepa Yoto. Ghislaine is coordinator of the Biorisk Management Facility, BIMAF. And Ghislaine is also the one responsible for driving us in this journey this week in terms of really understanding the challenges, bringing us to the field to interact with the farmers, to see how we are doing, what are the opportunities from the AICCRA work in Ghana. So he's also leading the cluster Ghana for AICCRA in the project. Welcome. Then we have Justin Pita. Justin is Regional Coordinator for the West African Various Epidemiology Program, WAVE. And last, we have Emmanuel Nuke. He's Director for Research and Innovation for CORAF. So let's start with Christopher. And Christopher is going to talk about how we are doing in Ghana in terms of generating this buy-in for early warning system for pests and diseases. So, Christopher, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. My name is Christopher Mauli Gaitu. I work with Plant Protection and Regulatory Services Directorates. I'm here to share our experiences with managing pests and our willingness to be part of a early warning system for pests and diseases. Now, over the years, Ghana has had pest introductions, which have caused a lot of damage to our economy and created loss of incomes, loss of markets, etc. Now, currently, we are under threat of introductions of other pests and diseases, including cassava brown streak disease, banana budgie top disease. Then we have what? Diaphorina citra. This is a vector of citrus greening, a very serious disease of citrus. It also a threat of what? Pink hibiscus mealybug, Macronellicoccus hirsutus, which has a wide host range, especially okra, cotton, cowpea, soybean, etc. And also urban species, otherwise known as boom rip, which is a serious root parasite of vegetables. Now, this issue of pest introductions have been exacerbated by the global trade and people traveling, weak phytosanitary systems, and also climate change. Now, just to introduce some of the previous pest introductions we have had in Ghana. In the 80s, we had problems with cassava green mite, as well as the cassava mealybug, which we were able to resolve through the use of biological control. Then we also had challenges with what? Papaya mealybug. We gave us a lot of problems until we were able to use biological control to manage it. And currently, we are still dealing with what? The mango bacterial black spot, which is making farmers to spend a lot to be able to manage their orchards so that they can get fruits which they can sell. Then we also have fruit fly, Bathyscera dorsalis, which came to Ghana around 2007, and we have been dealing with it till date. We also have had what? The fall armyworm. And we are still dealing with it. Now it's now becoming endemic, so it's something you have to deal with it from year to year. We've also had the larger grain borer, and this is a post-harvest pest of stored maize and dried cassava chips. And it has the ability to turn the stored maize and dried cassava chips into powder. And we also have to deal with the mango mealybug. Now, just to look at two case studies of the kind of losses we have had with some of these pest introductions. Papaya mealybug was reported in Ghana in 2009. After only 1 year, in one of the regions, eastern region, where papaya is grown a lot, there was a reduction in acreage from what? 2,510 hectares to what? 308. In percentage terms, 88% reduction. After several trials, there were only 2 products that were working. Metoxan, and you have to spray it every 2 weeks. So there were obvious food safety challenges. And there was also another product which was what? Metarhizium, a strain of metarhizium, but it was quite expensive and most farmers could not afford. But now you have solved that problem, so you can safely eat Ghana papayas. We've also had a fall armyworm which was reported in Ghana in 2016. In 2017, a study conducted by Kabi indicated that the loss in value after just 1 year of introduction was what? $138.5 million US. So based on our experiences, we are interested in being part of any regional pest and disease early warning system. This is especially important in the case of migratory pests. This is because early warning systems enhance what? Detection, rapid response, and management. Other advantages include at least countries get some notice to able to mobilize resources to be able to deal with what is coming. And also awareness creation can be created on the pest for the stakeholders. And it also helps us what? Safeguard food security. But we believe that in order for any regional early warning system to work well, there's a need for national early warning system so that we can be each other's keeper. If something attacks one country, then they can find a way to inform the other countries that this is what is coming so they can get prepared. And we believe that as part of the early warning, the use of the Kabi horizon scanning tool is one approach which we believe should be the better tool that each country can use so that they can determine what are the most likely pests and diseases to come to their jurisdiction so that they can start making preparations. But let me say that the use of the horizon scanning tool is just the basic. It is not exhaustive because there are things which come to the country which don't follow their normal pathways. Now, some airlines can, or some aircraft can fly 16 hours non-stop. People travel, they see a nice flower. Oh, this will look like nice in my garden. They put it in a luggage and they bring it back. You plant it, if it has some pests or disease and the environment is conducive for it, then it starts that plant becomes a node, and from there the problems spread. So in conclusion, we as a country, we are looking forward for the early warning system, which we expect to enable us to perform better with regard to pest and disease introductions. And we are grateful to our partners, including CABI, IITA, and FAO, that in the past and even now have been alerting us to what? Possible pest introduction so that we can start putting things in place. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Christopher, and thank you for really explaining us the importance of this topic for Ghana.
Yeah.
Huge economic implications of these pests and diseases. So this is certainly something that needs to be tackled. And I would like to highlight also what you mentioned in relation to these regional early warning systems for pests and diseases, but that we need to start at the national level and understand how can we promote these early warning systems. And this, I want to highlight this because this connection between what is happening at the national level and how from there we can build to the regional level and then back to get those lessons learned and improve implementation of these systems on the national level is something that it's very much in the heart of what AICCRA wants to do in Africa. So thank you for your remarks. With that, let me go to Ghislaine Tepa Joto, and Ghislaine is going to talk about the BMAF agenda, considering this One Health concept and how does it relate to the work that we are doing in Ghana, AICCRA. Ghislaine, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anna Maria. As we are here in this room, we have participation of farmers from the tuber community. If you can please raise your hand so that we appreciate your participation to this conversation. So this is how we want it. We want farmers to be part of the discussions and be part of the decision as well. So having said that, last Wednesday we were in the field, we visited the tuber community, and there was a question that was coming from the audience, how you guys farmers are affected by climate change on your farming systems. And there was a lady actually a woman group leader that offered to answer the question, and she said, we are increasingly affected by insect species that is causing a lot of damage into our farming systems. These are the organisms that we didn't know before, but that frequently are occurring in our farming systems. So just to add to what Christopher presented, this is how it looks like. These are the things that we have started seeing in farmers' fields. And there is really increasing concerns about these insect species regarding the extent of damage and consequences in yield losses that can cause. Just for your information, the two caterpillars that you are seeing there have been detected for the first time in Africa by one of the CGIAR center. And this was in 2016. And the outbreaks were really quite serious. So there is really room for us to move forward to a next level of discussions around how we tackle these issues. And as most of you know, one of the key drivers for these organisms, these threats to in farming systems is climate change. And the consequences can be really very alerting in terms of the increasing yield losses that this is causing, pest resurgence issues, increasing establishment rates of invasive alien species, disruption of ecosystem services, and also there is a huge literature on how rising temperatures and CO2 can disrupt pheromone trapping and therefore affect monitoring and surveillance efforts. So the minister said, excuse me, that this is causing around 40% of food crop loss annually due to pests and diseases. So there is an urgency to prompt action. And as you can see in this map, let us make it really short, that in the past 20 years, dozens of invasive alien species have caused extraordinary damage into West Africa. So a collective effort is really required. If you look at the economic, the socioeconomic consequences, it is really huge across value chains and across countries in Africa. In a nutshell, look at the figures. The estimate of invasive alien species cost to Africa annually is 65.5 billion US dollars. So this is per annum. You can start thinking about how much this affects the expected contribution of agriculture to GDP. So adding to that, how much is our ability to prevent or to react to those threats? If you look at those maps, it simply says that there is a low proactive and reactive capacity in Africa to tackle issues regarding pests and diseases. But I think that there is a hope that we have started the discussions. together with the local partners. And this is where really we want to emphasize the importance of our interventions in terms of the relevance of partnership with local governmental agency to collectively and improving synergies across interventions to really come up to a situation where we effectively address issues regarding climate-driven pests and diseases. So there is a conventional concept, system thinking approach around the One Health strategy to address zoonotic diseases and to see interactions between human and animal health, and also how does it speak to the environment. But I think we need to move forward. We need to move to another version, One Health version 2.0. Why am I saying that? There is increasing concerns about antimicrobial resistance and how these affect and increase the impact of the causal agent of zoonotic diseases. And the issue also of pesticide residues in food crops show clearly that we need to move to an improved and a much more advanced One Health approach, including plant, soil, and water health elements. Last year, we published a report on harnessing nature-based solution for smallholder plant health in a changing climate. And in this report, we have demonstrated the effect of climate change on biological response of traits, and also what should be the human response to effectively address these compounded challenges. One of the key things, and I think Christopher mentioned it, is about capacitation. How much CGIAR, together with the partners on the ground, come together in mechanism in such a way that we come together and synergistically address the issues of pests and diseases. It is showing that my time is over, but I think I have one more slide. This is the package, the building blocks Christopher mentioned, early warning and rapid response. It is part of our recipes in terms of catalyzing policy dialogues to trigger legislative enabling environment, particularly against abusive use of chemicals, and also the need to develop and co-create regional early warning and rapid response system to really strengthen the capabilities of stakeholders and farmers in terms of monitoring and surveillance and reporting risk, and also in empowering youth and women to collectively address the issues of pests and diseases. Ana Maria, this is the little things that I wanted to share with the audience. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Ghislaine. And thank you very much for bringing the farmers here. It's valuable the fact of having them here and being able to engage in this discussion. And thank you for bringing us also to the Tuba community to interact with farmers and really understand what's at stake. So you mentioned capacity building. That's one of the key components of AICCRA. And you have made a real clear point in relation to the need to address pest and disease issues in Ghana if we really want to build resilience. Otherwise, it's going to be impossible. And also highlighting that and what you have been demonstrated with numbers and graphs is that if we want to address food systems challenges, we need to do this jointly considering health approaches, and therefore the One Health focus that AICCRA Ghana is implementing here. So thank you very much for that. Justin, so we're going to move to your presentation, and again, this is very relevant for the AICCRA project because it's presenting through a regional lens how are we dealing with transitory plant disease management, and therefore what's the wave approach to deal with this. So Justin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Ghislaine, for showing the way and standing up here. As a university professor, I thought it would have been very difficult for me to sit and make a presentation. So thank you, Ghislaine. So if I can have a presentation. I will briefly present WAVE. I say briefly because if I want to take the time to talk about WAVE, we're going to be here till tomorrow. Then I'll talk about the WAVE cube. In perspective, we'll discuss what is next for the cube. WAVE means Central and West African Virus Epidemiology. It was created by African scientists, West African scientists. On the bottom, you see Dr. Alain Opong from Ghana. He's part of a pioneer of WAVE. Those scientists identified the need for plant disease surveillance, early warning system, and response preparedness. Our vision at WAVE is disease-free crops for food and income security for all in Africa through a coordinated management of plant disease threats. We think that we can increase agriculture productivity and sustainability in Africa without border and without silos. That's the way it can be done. Therefore, WAVE is using a regional approach. We have built a network of 17 NAS in 14 countries that you see in the map here. In Ghana, WAVE is based at Crop Research Institute in Kumasi. Is somebody take? Ouais. Il y a quelqu'un qui appuie là-bas aussi, je crois. So, although our main focus on our pathogens, we think that it's important also to work on the host, on the vectors in a changing environment. That's the reason why at WAVE we are bridging disciplines. We are working with breeders. We are working with entomologists. And doing this way, we can bring the power of togetherness. Our model is based on NAS being the central pillar. We are co-designing our work with advanced laboratories like the CGIARs and delivering the product of research to the smallholder farmers, to the stakeholders, with donors like BMGF, FCDO, under the auspices of regional institutions like CORAF and ECOWAS. I'm pressing only one time and I'll see what's going to happen. In addition to the regional network that you see in the map in the center, we have built an international network with partners in the US, in Europe. Here, what I'm going to do is just highlight just once the work we are doing with Pennsylvania State University. Something is wrong here, guys. I didn't touch it. Can you go back, please, once? Please let me do it. When I want you to click, I'll let you know. Okay, here. Just click once now. I'll let you do it there. Yeah, it's better. Click once, please. I'm not touching. Okay. I'll go. Okay, thank you. Here. I would like to highlight the work we are doing with Scriptoria, based in the UK, the Cambridge University, and Pennsylvania State University. Okay, I click once. Talking about wave achievements, really with time, I'm not going to make a list of all we have done. Emmanuel in this talk will mention a few of the achievements. Here, I'm going to talk about the cube, the wave cube, and the fact that we became a center of, a regional center of excellence for transboundary plant pathogens in May, based on all the achievements that we made. The wave cube is a world-class crop pest and disease data management tool for Central and West Africa. The cube was developed as a part of a research grant to explore best scientifically rigorous approaches to crop and pest disease monitoring and responses in sub-Saharan Africa. It was done working in partnership with Scriptoria, based in the UK, and the Gilligan's Group, based at the University of Cambridge. It was done under a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and FCDO. With actual cassava disease data was used to build, test, and refine the cube. When I said about cassava disease, I'm talking about viral cassava diseases, cassava mosaic disease, and mainly cassava brown streak disease. This disease is not yet in West Africa, is moving from East Africa to West Africa. And we don't want it in West Africa because it's going to be a huge problem. We believe that the cube has jumped years of data management system. How does the cube work? What does the cube do? From field data or laboratory data and historical data, those data are moved to a cloud where they are cleansed. And the cleansed data are then moved to another more advanced cube where they are also again clean, and from there they can be used for analysis, for visualization, for modeling. Can you click once, please? Power BI reports, you click twice here. Can you go back, please? Power BI reports can provide an attractive way to view cassava diseases data. Can you click once? Okay, you jump the interactive one, so we'll continue. We can see here pest data in the cube in 2015 and between 2015 to 2020. Go back, next slide, please. Okay. I think I told you not to move this presentation from there to another presentation. So you did it. And all right, next slide. Let's see what comes. Nothing. This is a movie showing the spread of CBSD from East Africa to West Africa. This is a modeling that was done with the Gilligan's group. Next slide, please. Oh, you went back to my presentation. Thank you. All right, click again. Click. Click. Go back to the next slide.
Next slide.
No, it's not working. Sorry, guys. I came here early enough to rehearse with my presentation, but it was moved to another format, so we are losing everything. You can continue. Sorry.
The video cannot play.
I'm clicking, but it's not even going anywhere. Go back to the next slide, please. Go to the next slide. Proceed. Let's go to the end. I specifically said that this land. Don't put that in another format. I insisted. Go back. Go to the next one. All the movies are corrupted. We're not going to be able to see them. So what WAVE is doing is also working with Pennsylvania State University, working with this application called NORO for participatory surveillance. And with this application, we are refining what have been already set up with by Pennsylvania State University, and we are testing, refining this in 10 Central and West African countries. Next slide, please. So I would like to acknowledge all the donors and the partners here. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Justin, for that.
I
For those
insisted. I
challenges.
came here and I said the whole talk is this movie that I'm going to show. And it's better not to touch it, not to put it in any other format.
So now we know.
So.
You'll be invited next year.
But what we can do is that we can commit to putting the presentation in ICRAF's webpage. We can do that and through our channel so that we can make sure that everybody that it's interesting can kind of have access to that. So thank you very much. And I really enjoyed your slogan in terms of no borders, no silos. This is the way that we should be working, and this is the way that we want to work in ICCRA, and using these regional approaches to address these challenges, because this is the only way that we are going to be effective. So thank you, Justin, for that. Let's move to another regional organization. So Emmanuel, it's going to walk us through CORAF, Pest and Disease Agenda, and then very important plans towards this regional alliance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anne-Maria. Thanks already to Ghislaine and Justin. They've already given an overview of what they're going to say. The essence here is just to talk about what CORAF does and then focus on the alliance we want to put in place between BMAF and WAVE. So you accept greetings from West and Central Africa Council for Actual Research and Development. That's CORAF, based in Dakar, Senegal. Here they talk about a lot of challenges and initiatives. We all know that capacity needs and challenges vary by country and by region. So we need a concerted and a coordinated effort, and CORAF is the answer. If you go to CORAF, we already partner with the two speakers, BMAF and WAVE. So we are soliciting your support that if you want to invest in Africa, especially in West and Central Africa, CORAF is there to coordinate. And then also, there are a lot of initiatives on ground, a lot of technologies, a lot of practices, but if we don't do a concerted and coordinated effort, the beneficiary will always be in challenges. So we need to coordinate. So in CORAF is a regional, please go to the next slide. The presentation, as I've already highlighted, we're talking about what the initiative we have at CORAF. We also have to explain how CORAF operates, then the needs for partnership and coordination. Next slide, please. So that's CORAF. CORAF was established in 1987. We're based in Dakar, in Senegal. That's where the headquarters is. And we have a lot of pillars. We have to do coordination. We do technology scaling. We do gender studies. We do a lot of activity based on market and trades. We do also share information that is with our partners. We also do a lot of demonstration of technologies that are developed by the regional and research centers. Then our main objective is to carry technologies from the laboratory or from the research institutes to the beneficiaries. Next slide, please. So our pest and disease agenda, it is not magical, but you just need coordination. Next slide. So at CORAF, we have been doing a lot of initiatives on pests and diseases in collaboration with the other partners we've just spoken now. And there we know the challenges of trans-border pests and diseases that my colleague has just presented, Justin has presented. It is a major challenge, and we also know the consequences and the costs. So the only options we have now is to coordinate and make sure that all the technologies that are available are well tailored so that the beneficiaries, they have the technologies, access to technology, and implement. Then at CORAF, we also have approaches, and these approaches that we use are done in different forms in different components and domains. So we do what we call, please move, we do partnership, and we have to study a situation analysis to know what is ongoing. As I earlier mentioned, the initiatives are many on ground, the partners are many on ground, so we have to do a baseline or a study to understand the situation on ground, either in a country or in a region before we intervene. We also do a lot of capacity development initiative. We also do a lot of technology. The technologies are many, but we have to do promote appropriate and adaptive technologies. And these are done in a different system that I'm going to project, which is based on CORAF method of operation. And we also do a lot of gender study with youth to promote. The farmers involved in agriculture nowadays are aging. So we have to entice and tailor or package the technology so that it should be appetizing for youths and engage youths to actually scale the technology. And private sectors also need to be involved. I'm happy with the first presenter, the first series that had the private sector to actually give us what are their roles they are playing and their needs. If you know somebody needs, it's easier for you to help the person. Next slide, please. So, as I earlier mentioned, the way we operate at CORAF, we have national centers of specialization and regional center of excellence. Justin already mentioned that WAVE Center is a center of excellence where we have to demonstrate technologies. We have a lot of technologies. It's a one-stop shop. We demonstrate technologies. We do training. The training can be group training or individual training, that's academic training. Then the group training might be farmers. They come there for training. We also partner with a lot of actors. They can be private sectors. They can be universities, NGOs, regional organizations that they also come there for knowledge sharing, and also to adopt some technologies that are really potential technologies for them to upscale or to take to areas where it is not being implemented. Then what CORAF does, as earlier mentioned, is just coordination monitoring and supervision that we do at CORAF. We also do a lot of technology showcasing. Then we do a transfer of technology from those centers to other centers. So CORAF activities is basically mostly based on coordinations and technology transfer. Next slide, please. Next slide. So plan towards a regional alliance. BMAF and WAVE are already in the region. So what we are saying is if you want to do a terror on climate smart agriculture or intervene on technologies that can help farmers, beneficiaries overcome challenges based on climate change, CORAF is there with the other partners that have already spoken to see how we can coordinate and concert our efforts based on who are on the ground, what technologies are they using, what practices are they using. Then we do a scaling to have the technology that are appropriate adopted, then takes to the beneficiaries. And here with alliance between WAVE and BMAP, that's my wish. We want, since CORAF operates in West and Central Africa, and our partners also operate in the same region, if we, the three, CORAF, BMAF, and WAVE, can be together and form an alliance, then it will actually be beneficial, not only to the beneficiaries, but to the actors and the donors. We shouldn't just rely only on giving funds to partners to do activities, but these funds that we are channeling to partners to do activities needs to be coordinated. And we have also indicated what are the roles that BMAF will be doing. Gisèle already spoken, they are into arthropods. Then Prof. Justin also indicated that they're into diseases. Then CORAF is there to do a coordination efforts. Then what we plan to do together, we have already indicated what BMAF is doing and what WAVE is doing. Doing it independently will not benefit any farmers. I remember when we were doing a lot of activities with farmers, you go to the field, different centers have been in CG centers, farmers are occupied from Monday to Friday or to Saturday because the centers wants to work independently. And every day, each unit or each center has a meeting with farmers. They keep disturbing the farmers' activity. So if we can coordinate and make it a one-stop shop, they will benefit the beneficiary and also the donor. Next slide, please. So the initiatives undertaken, we've done a lot of meeting, networking, task force in place. We've met with the regional organization, the ECOWAS, the ECAS in Central African region. We've identified what are the basic needs, how can we intervene and help to coordinate all the initiatives, the practices that are on ground that are potential that we can scale to farmers. And we'll be meeting a lot with all these regional organizations and the independent partners on ground. And we are happy now that the CG is also becoming a one CG, one-stop shop, where with them we can concert our effort and move forward. Next slide, please. What attracted CORAF to partner with WAVE and BMAF, as Prof. Justin mentioned, they've already constructed and rehabilitated a lot of labs, about 17 labs in West and Central Africa. They've trained a lot of potential technicians and scientists in the region. They've also done a lot of technologies that have been available at the disposal of scientists. So capitalizing on what is already on ground will give us advantage and hanging fruits to reach where we want to go to. Next slide, please. And the perspective is just to build on what is already existing by BMAF and by WAVE. They've done a lot of initiatives. They talked about different models, different technologies that are put in place already. So building on what is existing will be beneficiary not only to the donors and not only to the farmers in the field, but also the stakeholders. So for individual partners to go to the field and start operating on their own, it's good for us to have a concerted and a coordinated effort. And thank you very much for listening. I hope it's 8 minutes. 8 minutes? Good.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. That was great. And really nice to see how CORAF, WAVE, BMAP are really working together and then following Justin, no boundaries, no silos, to really being able to address this challenge. And how I see AICCRA participating in this regional alliance very much in terms of capacity building, in terms of strengthening these partnerships, in terms of providing the scientific evidence, in terms of being able to understand how to scale through this regional alliance. So thank you very much for that. We have time for questions, Vita. Okay. So again, let's open the floor here for people that are participating in this room for questions, but also please, the ones that are following us online, include your questions in the YouTube or LinkedIn channel, and then Reese will make sure that we are able to address them. So, Pita.
Thank you very much. For me, this was like a classroom, actually. I learned a lot, especially about the gravity of the problem. So, as a climate scientist, my reaction is, okay, how can I help? How can climate help? So Christopher mentioned the regional early warning system, and I said, okay, why not start with the national? So my thinking is, if you are thinking about early warning systems, what goes into that system? And what would be the role of climate information, if any? And then at what time and space scale? So it would be good to know how we, from the climate side, can help in this.
So who would like to start addressing this question? Gisela? Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Tufa, for this question. I think one of the angles where climate research and outcomes can support the co-development of a fully operational and effective early warning and rapid response system is about contribution regarding decision support tools in terms of models that inform decision makers and stakeholders about the risks associated to invasive and alien species. That's number one. What is going into an early warning and rapid response system? Definitely capacitation in terms of strengthening capabilities of farmers and also stakeholders in terms of monitoring and surveillance, and also enhancing their abilities of reporting the risks. All this cannot function without coordination. That's the reason why we have CORAF on board, and with CORAF network and connections with the governmental agencies, we think such a system will really provide a great opportunity to effectively and sustainably address the issues of climate-driven pests and diseases.
Thank you, Gisela. Anybody else from the panel would like to address how climate information can help this agenda move forward?
Yeah, I can just give you a simple example. Here in West Africa, yam is very important. Nigeria is first producer of yam in the world, and we eat a lot of yam. But you know that when a farmer plants yam, and if it does not rain 1 week later, the seed dies. So just by sending an SMS to a farmer saying that just wait, don't plant this week, wait next week, you save the year, you save the production. And the application I showed at the end can send those SMS to those farmers. See, so climate information will change the lives of those farmers just one essence.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Right. I also have a question. Thank you very much for the program. And I have realized that most of the attention has been diverted to the climatic change. But waste management, that's plastic waste management, is one of the difficult challenge that we are facing here in Ghana, especially when you go to even our villages. Farmers mostly find it difficult to plant and have a positive result due to the plastic waste that have been dumped, and most of them are going deep inside our soil. So what is the organization doing? Do you have a program? Do you have attention on how farmers are going to deal with this plastic waste that have been dumped on our farms, our lands, and mostly in our soils, because it is affecting crop production? So I want to draw the attention of the organization. If there's something that can be done about this plastic waste management or plastic waste that is affecting our lands. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that question. Emmanuel?
Is it a question or?
Yes. Yes.
It's something
That's
more of policy.
Yes. Yes.
It's a comment.
Question. Do you have any program? Do you have any education that you give to the farmers, how they are going to manage or take control of this plastic waste in our soil?
I think prevention is a better approach. If you go to, I work in Rwanda for 4 years, and in Rwanda, plastic is really forbidden. You don't use plastic. It's a policy issue. So the government puts the policy, then they now provide, there must be substitutes. What other substitutes are you putting in the, available for use in the absence of plastic? So you don't just go on air and say, oh, don't use plastic, but there must be an alternative to plastic. So in Rwanda, it is really an example to go and see how it operates there. In Rwanda, I've been there. I worked in Rwanda for 4 years. There is a policy issue, no plastic in Rwanda, but it's a substitute, degradable, which is available and accessible. Yes.
So it's about incentives, no? Having providing
policy, more
providing
policy,
right incentives.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. My name is Charles Toto, in a way. I am the Director of Food Research Institute in Ghana, CSIAR. And my question goes to Christopher. You did mention about cassava, which is very good. It's the staple in Ghana. Looking at opening up cassava, we are looking at industrialization of cassava. And that comes to the cassava chips. A key challenge is the larger grain boiler, the early warning systems. How can we take advantage of these early warning systems to address the challenge of the larger grain boiler devastating the cassava chips, preventing us to push it into industrialization? Because we believe that when we move cassava into the level of industrialization, you have the bottom-up approach where we pull our farmers on board. That is my simple question to Christopher. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For the larger grain borer, there is a solution available. Because there is we can use biological control, that's a predator, and the predator is available. So what we have been doing over the years is that as we get feedback on the field as to where there is prevalence of these larger grain borers, then we step up the production and we release those particular areas. So we rely on feedback from the field as to what is happening. So when we get the information, we step out the production and we release. So there's a biocontrol agent available which I've been using and releasing over the years, which is able to manage the larger grain borer. Thank you.
Yeah, Kishlan, please go ahead.
Please, I want to ask a question.
You are going to complement?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
In two
Yeah.
sentences. Cassava is part of our strategic value chains in the AICCRA project. And we are, like Usman presented in the session before, we have those climate smart agriculture and climate information services bundles that will address issues
issues regarding pests and diseases. And I think really this comment comes timely, and it informs us that we really did very well to discover that this issue is of priority for Ghana.
Thank you, Ghislaine.
Please, I want to ask a later question. I'm a farmer from Tuba. Please, thank you for AICCRA. When they visit my area, we do a more presentation to them. Secondly, I want to look at your previous first presentation. You talk about gender, the youth and the women. My area, there's a lot of youth there. I'm also a youth, but there's a lot of youth there that they are not having support to do the farming. So it's like, why they are not having support to do the farming? They are not interested in the farming. So if AICCRA can support some of my youth there to go into farming, and the women, because most of the women are widows, and they are not having support to do the farming. And we want support for them, that the farming will be interested to them, that they also be a farmers and farm well for us. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Ghislaine, could you speak a little bit about our strategy in AICCRA Ghana to address this youth issue? How can we support capacity building in relation to this? We saw some of that in the Tuba community, but yeah, go ahead.
The gender and social inclusion issue is really central in AICCRA, and we are very serious about that in terms of really addressing the needs of this group of people in the communities, in terms of identifying what are the services and the technologies that they are needed, and also what are the capacitation needs that they have to really help in terms of improving and contributing to better livelihoods.
Thank you. Any
Yeah,
Yes, Emmanuel, go ahead.
I also mentioned about gender, and support is relative. Support is relative and generic. Support can be in terms of capacity, in terms of resources, in terms of technology. So it is generic. It is you to identify what are the needs of those youths, so that it should be, what they are bringing in as support should be timely and needed. And we are also going into mechanization. Most of our farmers, they have been doing this thing, with their hands, and thinking of how we can mechanize and make sure that the youths you gain time, and then also it shouldn't be labor intensive. So those are the issues. There are some projects we've conducted and tried to give starting funds to some youths. They find themselves in Europe and America. So that's why I'm saying that support is relative. You actually have to assess and know the needs, so that the support you are giving, it should be support that is needed. Thank you.
Excellent. Do we have online questions?
We do have online questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, this one is directed to Emmanuel. It's a question for him. What is the core strategy to prevent pests and disease spread without disrupting trade and seed dissemination?
Yeah, as I earlier mentioned, there are several approaches. The first is we also work in collaboration with research institutes, where we get tolerant and resistant varieties that we disseminate. That's the first. Then secondly, we work with regional organizations like the ECOWAS, the ECAS, where we harmonize strategies and policies on seeds, where now you homologate seeds in one country, it can easily be transported or introduced in another country for use. So you don't go through the process of evaluation again. So we're working together with the regional organizations, working together with the research institutes to get tolerant, resistant variety. That's the first approach. Then in the participatory approach with farmers, they now adopt these varieties. Then secondly, with the regional organizations and centers, we harmonize policies so that you don't waste time going to evaluate what has been done in another country. So country A in Nigeria can develop varieties, homologate the varieties. It is introduced in Senegal and it's used there. They will make sure the standards and norms are okay. The quality also, we have quality assessment to make sure that the seeds, it can be either seeds, true seeds, or vegetative propagated. So there are policies and standards for all these planting materials.
Hello. Please, I want to come in. You talk about capacity building and fund, but my area, me, I'm here as a farmer, so anything concern my people there, that's what I'll say. My people there need fund and capacity building because with that, they can do the farming well. Because as of now, when my people going out to buy tomato seed, a tin of tomato seed is about 300 Ghana, and the person don't have any money to buy it. So with fund, the people can bought the tomato seed and plant. So I need capacity building and fund to, or even if a grant or a loan, a soft loan to them, they can farm well. Thank you.
So capacity building comes again, no? The importance of capacity building. I think that we are clear about that.
Yeah.
Gisline, do you want to say some few words about capacity building in AICCRA in Ghana?
Yeah, I think this is really part of what we want to do in the AICCRA Ghana project. And we have, together with the strategic stakeholders, identified and prioritize the needs in terms of capacitation. And I think I strongly support the submission of the farmer that you will see that happening in the framework of AICCRA Ghana.
Okay.
Can I?
Thank you very much. So I just want to say a few words regarding the issue raised specifically by Tufa.
Can you get closer to the mic?
Okay, so I said that I want to. My name is Abdul Ali. I am from Agreement Regional Center, which is based in Niamey, Niger. Agreement is the West African Climate Regional Center. So yes, it is very important, this issue of pests and disease related to crops, because as you know, the big famine in West Africa in 2005 was especially due to crop and pest. The rainfall was very good this year, but it was a big famine, especially due to this issue of pests and disease. So what we are doing at Agreement is designed for food early warning, to provide food and security early warning in the regions. So because climate, disease, and all factors are interacting, Agreement is designed in the way that Agreement combine on operational ways climate informations, water resources informations, land surface situations, pest and disease informations. So we are monitoring them together on operational basis to provide early warning in order to provide food and security. And we built some models which link this main factor together. One of the models is called phytobias, and this is going to be strengthened in the coming program, which is called the Food System Resilience Program. And under this program, it is Agreement is going to strengthen the regional early warning system, which combine both climate and disease and pests. So this is very important and to be done in synergies with this action already undertaken within AICCRA project. So this is just one of the experiences. We also have some laboratories where it is conducted by what we call biophysical means to fight disease and pests. So this is also some activities. So it's just to have this experience from Agreement. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment. And AICCRA is very excited to participate in this food systems resilience program. We believe that there's a lot that we can contribute, and thank you for bringing that bundle approach again. No, the ingredients that we were talking in the previous panel, how all these different types of information need to be put together and analyzed so that we can effectively thinking about an early warning system for pests and diseases, that we can build an effective system that can respond to the needs. But very important point, and Gisline, let me ask you something, because so we start to use these words, and sometimes it's hard to really understand what's behind those words or expressions. So climate smart integrated pest management. What does that really mean? Is this just some words that we are starting to use everywhere, or are there any concrete climate sound integrated pest management actions that perhaps we can share at the regional level with other countries so that we can expand this agenda? So give us concrete examples, things that have worked in relation to this climate smart integrated pest management.
In one or two sentences, as a follow-up to Ali from Agreement Submission, it's very exciting to have Agreement part of the AICCRA interventions. And we are planning in the different countries of AICCRA to co-create the Ag Data Hub. And there are discussions around how we share the data. And I think what he's saying comes really timely because, for instance, today we had a meeting with the World Bank and MOFA in terms of what are the data needs and what are the mechanisms that we can put together to share those data. I think when we will start operationalizing this idea, I think the data from Agreement will be definitely needed. So climate smart IPM is something that is definitely needed. The way we were doing IPM with the climate change effect, we definitely need to change that way and move to a strategy that considers the climate change as a driver of invasive alien species. And like Tufa said, this is somewhere climate scientists and climate research output can support in terms of delivering and putting on the table all the expertise and capacitation needed and accessibility in terms of the tools required to support the decision. So that one should be part of a strategy about climate smart IPM. And like I said before, capacitation is definitely central, and that's what we are doing in AICCRA Ghana. And another thing is to make the use of all data that are available and inform stakeholders and farmers on the ground about the risks associated with some critical pests and diseases. And I really like the work CABI is doing in terms of horizon scanning to inform decision makers that a risk is about to happen in a given country or region. So all these things, together with monitoring and surveillance effort, early warning and rapid response, availability and accessibility of risk models to inform decision, all this is really crucial, and that's what we think should be part of a climate smart IPM strategy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kisling. So it's not a new boss. There's meat behind that. Okay, so more questions online, Reese? No? Okay, good. I want to go back to Christopher, because for us, so we are scientists, we are researchers, but you come from the decision-making world. So you work for the ministry. According to your experience working in these topics of early warning and rapid response systems, what is the best way to engage with research? So how can we provide the right information for decision makers so that we can be successful in terms of implementing these regional and national early warning and rapid response systems against pests and diseases?
Okay, so what considering is that through information from our partners, through information from the horizon scanning, through our own studies, we can come up with prioritized list of pests and diseases which we think can be introduced into the country. So based on that, we can make case studies that if pest A, B, C, D gets into the country, these are the economic implications in terms of loss of production, livelihoods, loss of export markets, etc. So based on that, we can make a case with our decision makers that these are things we need to take preemptive action on so that we are prepared for the future. Because for some of the pests which are likely to they can be managed through the means of biological control. So that means that we need to work and improve our facilities so that we are better prepared. Because these are some of the methods we have used, some of them. So we need to be better prepared for future. So we need to improve our facilities, we need to train our people better, we need to strengthen our production system. We are better prepared for this which will come our way.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very useful for us. So let me ask a last question to the panel. And it's, we have been talking about the importance of these regional alliances, no?
Yeah.
So in order to address these issues, climate challenges, health challenges, pests and diseases in Africa. So how can AICCRA help these alliances to be fully functional?
Well, let me talk about it because I introduced the topic.
Uh-huh.
You know, next month, AICCRA will be organizing a workshop in Senegal, and it's a foresight planning and analysis. This already is something important, and it's a regional workshop being connected by CORAF, where we are having partners from West and Central Africa. This is already one of it. There are so many others, and we have so many initiatives ongoing that we are also inviting AICCRA to see how they can. You know, capacity is the key. As I earlier mentioned, you know, capacity needs vary from, you know, by country and by region. So we've been partnering with other institutes to know what are the capacity needs. It might be infrastructural needs, it might be human capacity needs. So those who are in need of human capacity are being trained by AICCRA. Then in terms of infrastructure, we also partner with other organizations or developmental organizations like the World Bank. They've assisted us to put on some infrastructures in some countries. So you need a holistic, coordinated effort. Somebody provide resources, some other person provide technologies, some other partner provide services. So there are a lot of partners on the ground, a lot of initiatives on the ground, but if it's not coordinated, then we will be working in vain, as I look at it. So infrastructures are there. With Professor Peter, he has mentioned a lot of rehabilitated labs, in about 17 labs have been constructed in West and Central Africa with support from a different donor. Then AICCRA is coming in for training, that is not capacitating those who are going to make use of it. Then we also have universities that are doing training of masters and PhD on the different tools that WAVE is being put in place with BIMAV. So that's the way we are collaborating and make sure things are going.
Okay.
So AICCRA has already been working with us for the past in the region. And next week, I don't know if Professor Robert Zumore, you should have her as one of your participants for the workshop next month to have, you know, on-hand experience what we do with AICCRA. Thank you.
Yeah, Robert is one of our stars working for AICCRA and leading the program at the West African level. So yeah, Justin, please go ahead.
Yeah, how can AICCRA help? It's really by being part of it. AICCRA cannot be outside. We all need to work together. The power of togetherness.
we bring each other's our expertise, because the problem is huge, is big, and like I said, no silos, no borders. We have to work hand on hand. We have to be together. Say we have to work hand in hand. We have to be together. AICCRA cannot stay outside. AICCRA has to be part of the alliance that we are building. It's still time. It's still time, I think. The power of togetherness, it's very important.
Thank you very much. And we want to be part of the alliance. Of course, we want to be part of the alliance. We believe that we can contribute. So please, round of applause to the panelists. It was great. Thank you very much. So I just would like to highlight some of the key things that we discussed today. I think that this dialogue was really interesting in addressing the key challenges. So we started by understanding that climate is a real challenge in Ghana. We saw scary figures in terms of the impact for the Ghanaian economy of climate variability and climate change. But we also understood the importance of addressing pests and diseases. And if we don't address this properly, we're never going to be able to build the resilience that is needed to address these climate challenges. And therefore, the combination of health and food needs to be addressed jointly. And therefore, that's why in Ghana, in AICCRA, we are considering this One Health approach. So I think that it was clear that the ingredients are there and that this is something that is needed and can really make a difference in terms of preparing farmers to respond to these climate challenges. We also discussed the possibility of sustainable finance to address these climate smart technologies, to enhance them, to bring them to scale, but there is also the opportunity to being able to use them to generate more access for women, for youth, considering this gender and social inclusion approach. So that's another key opportunity in there. And there, I would like to highlight some of the key words that emerge many times during our conversations in both panels. The importance of partnerships, effective partnerships. So very important if we want to be able to address these climate challenges, pests and diseases, we need to engage in effective partnerships. As Justin was saying, no boundaries, climate change has no boundaries, no silos. Capacity building, we heard many times the word capacity building for women, for youth, for farmers. So we really need to think seriously about this agenda and how this capacity building needs to be effective in bringing the knowledge that it's necessary, addressing the needs, understanding realities of implementing these climate smart agricultural technologies and climate information services. And then the importance of being able to scale. And one of the avenues to do this is through these regional alliances that we were just discussing. So how can we learn from processes that are happening at the national level to address these climate challenges? And then through these regional alliances, making sure that we can think about the spillovers so that we can benefit many farmers in the continent. So let me close with those thoughts. I want to thank all speakers, this panel and the previous one. Really good presentations, really good engagement and discussions. And I want to thank also all the participants, the ones that are here and the ones that joined us online. And with that, let me close the event. Thank you very much for participating.